everyone, welcome back to the MHP Show podcast. You guys know we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of mobile home park investing here on the MHP Show. Before we get, it's called Mobile Home Park Investing Pros. It's a sick Facebook group. I put content on there. People are sharing deals. It's a great place to network, to find investors, to invest in your deal. Or if you're a wholesaler or a broker, you can advertise your deals there. But we have people in this group all the way from novice investors, new people to the industry, all the way up to people that are veterans and have been in the industry for a while. So I would love for you to go to Facebook and go to Mobile Home Park Investing Pros and join my Facebook group. Also, if you're a passive investor, if you're a 7 and 8 figure entrepreneur and you're looking for ways to diversify your wealth and grow your wealth, you work a business, you own a business, you're looking for different ways to diversify your investments and build generational wealth, come check me out at victorycapital.com. Would love to talk to you about what we're doing there and potentially getting on our investor list for our upcoming deals. And lastly, for our mentorship program, we have one spot left we're trying to fill. We just filled one. Now we have one more spot left. So we're taking applications for our mentorship program where I can be your mentor and help you go get your first mobile home park deal. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to me on social media platforms and I can get my team to send you a link to the application. And thank you all for joining the MHP Show. Here we go. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the MHP Show podcast. I'm your host, Derek Vickers. I'm the CEO and founder of Victory Capital. We do mobile home park investments. And I'm excited to bring you a new episode here today. We're going to talk about why CapEx is critical, why CapEx is crucial to your mobile home park investments, because CapEx and CapEx planning is huge. And a lot of people don't do this. And I get questions about this all the time. And it can make or break your deal. It can make or break your investment, because if you're not planning for CapEx, all kinds of other things can happen. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is really what CapEx is. So what is CapEx? Well, it's a capital expenditure. Now, if you're relating that to something else, so to commercial real estate, CapEx is like a home renovation. So if you fix and flip homes, it's like the rehab costs and the renovation costs of a home that you're buying and renovating and then flipping. So essentially in a mobile home park or a commercial real estate investment, CapEx is the same thing. It's the improvements. It's the things that we're going to do and come in and turn around with the park in order to raise value, reduce expenses, make it a clean, safe place for residents to live, because that's what we do at Victory Capital. We provide clean and safe places, affordable housing for people to live. And, it's a big thing. Affordable housing is huge. And these parks, if we did not inject CapEx dollars into them, they would be gone and they would continue to deteriorate. And a lot of the parks that we buy, they need more CapEx dollars because mom and pop did not inject the CapEx necessary into the park. So I want to differentiate here, like the difference between CapEx and like regular maintenance costs. So examples of CapEx and capital expenditures are like paving roads. So you're going to pave the roads. That is a capital expenditure. Now, something you could compare that to is that if you have, 6 giant potholes in the park, which you do sometimes, right? That is a sort of a regular maintenance expense and not necessarily CapEx. If you have park-owned homes, you may have toilet fixes, you may have sewer line breaks, you may have, all this other stuff, but those are like your regular maintenance expenses, right? But if I'm going to replace the sewer lines, if I'm going to, replace a septic tank, if I'm going to repair the infrastructure in some way, shape, or form, that is a capital expenditure, right? It's money we're injecting into the park. And really what CapEx is about in these deals, it's about adding value to the park, right? You have to add value to the park when you're going in and doing things like increasing rents, like you have to give value back. And that's how we're going to do it. We're going to inject these CapEx dollars into the park so we can do that efficiently and effectively. And that's why if you're a passive investor, you need to invest with an experienced operator, because if you invest in a deal and the operator's not bringing any money for CapEx dollars, then the likeliness of something happening where there may have to be a capital call down the line is higher, because they're not planning for these expenses, right? So when we go in at Victory Capital, when we're doing due diligence on parks, we go in and we do heavy inspections on the infrastructure. We do heavy inspections on anything and everything with the park, and we overestimate our CapEx that we're actually going to put into these deals. And if we don't have to use it, well, it's fine, no big deal. So how does CapEx increase property value? Well, there's many ways that it does. And so, for example, we talked about paving the roads earlier. So when an appraiser comes in to appraise the property, a paved road does not raise your income. It doesn't raise your income, right? The numbers are going to be the same when they look at it, but the appraiser may, appraise it at a lower cap rate, because maybe, hey, this looks like a 3-star park instead of a 1-star park. Because I'm telling you, if you're paving and striping the roads, it makes a big difference in what it looks like and the feel when you go into the park. Because if you go into a park and there's potholes everywhere and there's things like that, like the feel of it is less. And an appraiser is more likely to give you a better number when the roads are paved. Also, when we're talking about stuff like landscaping upgrades and such, like landscaping is going to be huge. Like if you put a new sign out in front of the park, if you're planting flowers, if you're putting new lights up, new mailboxes, this just enhances the aesthetic appeal of the park. And especially these parks, when you first drive in, like if the first house is in terrible disrepair, it's dilapidated, there's potholes as soon as you walk in or drive in, that first impression, it's hard to change when you go around the park. So the first impression is huge. I've seen parks that once you drive into them, they don't look that great. But because the first house looked nice, because the roads were paved, because they had nice mailboxes, and there was some landscaping and some curb appeal as soon as you walked in, the perceived value of that park was massively more than what it was prior. And, these CapEx investments, as I mentioned before, like it's not just like upkeeping the park, which a lot of these mom and pops did not do when we purchased the park. It's really about the value that is added into these things. So how does CapEx enhance property value? Well, in many different ways. If you're going in and you have a city water system, let's say you have old pipes, they break all the time, there's leaks. And so even if you put water meters on and you're charging back for water and sewer, you're maybe collecting 65, 70, 80%, 85% in a really good case scenario. So if you're adding new water lines throughout the park, right? They're brand new PVC lines or whatever they are, less leaks, there's less leakage out where you're not going to get billed for that water anymore. So you can decrease your expenses, which raises your NOI, which in turn raises the property value of the park. Okay. If you put a new septic system in, like if you replace a drain field, like you're not going to be pumping that septic tank out or dealing with other issues with it on a regular basis. So again, that's going to reduce your expenses, higher net operating income, and more cash flow for your investors. So it's important. And what we do at Victory Capital is that, and I mentioned a little bit about this before, is that we go in and we determine what these things are going to be in the beginning. And we determine and we get quotes on what the actual cost is going to be to fix these things. So that way, when we go in, we fix this stuff immediately. So yes, we're billing back for utilities. Yes, we're billing back for trash. We're cutting needless expenses, but at the same time, we're fixing these deferred maintenance items, or even items that may not be in a catastrophic state now and they have to be fixed, but stuff that's going to lower our expenses now so our NOI is more in the future. So these CapEx projects are 1000% adding tons of value from even a numbers perspective, and adding value in the sense of what I talked about before with the appraisals and all the other things that are included with that and the CapEx projects that you do. Some of these other operational things too is like your management team. Like, this is going to make these parks easier to operate. If you don't have septic systems that are bad, if you don't have drain fields that are bad, if you don't have water line leaks, if you don't have all these other sewer backups and things, if you fix these things going in, it's less operational headaches for you and your team. Right. So your management team is not taking calls all the time. We're not constantly calling contractors. They're not constantly getting bogged down with water line leaks, and you have to call the plumber and get them out there. You got to shut the water down at the park. And, all the residents get pissed off because they don't have water, or they can't flush the toilet, or it's backing up into their house. If you can eliminate those things, that allows for your team to be more effectively managing the properties. And it's just less headache for you, because maybe there's some, if we have to keep doing this, like we've made this mistake before, and like, instead of just replacing a section of water line in a park, we actually just kept repairing the leaks. And before you know it, a year and a half goes by, and you're like, damn, well, we could have just fixed this in the beginning, and it would have been maybe a little bit more expensive, but just about the same price as us continually fixing the water lines. So all of that, it reduces headaches. It increases cash flow. It increases NOI. It increases the value of the property and just the look and feel of the property. And these CapEx projects, what they can do, mentally and emotionally for your residents too, as they see that you are the owner and we are going in and fixing things. We're handling the landscaping. If something happens with the well, we're handling it. We're fixing it permanently, not just band-aiding it like mom and pop did before. They see like, hey, management is now, and the ownership is now taking care of their side. Now we are going to in turn do that, and we're going to take more pride of ownership, and it's going to lift the park up in all aspects. All of a sudden you see people starting to plant flowers in front of their house. Maybe they painted the fence instead of the old, rickety wooden fence. Maybe they replaced it. They put a vinyl fence up. We've seen that. But tenants tend to start picking up, and not all this is going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over time, but it all starts with your CapEx budget, your CapEx projects, and how you're executing on that. So as we round out this episode here, the big conclusion and takeaway you can take from this is just, when you're investing, invest with an operator. When you're investing with someone, ask them what their CapEx budget here. Ask them what the CapEx projects are going to be. Ask them if they have any money in reserves for additional CapEx issues that they may have, unforeseen issues. And we've done this in a park we just purchased. We had a septic issue because of the hurricane that just came by, but we had enough money in reserves to take care of that problem. It was a $10,000 issue. I thought it was going to be more than that, but we were able to take care of that. And we're not worrying about the cash flow of the property to handle these things, because when you're buying these old properties, you're going to have stuff, and you have to, be able to plan for that. And if you're only using cash flow from the property, your likeliness of, being called and doing a capital call is more. And that's less cash flow, if any cash flow you're going to receive in distributions. So those are questions you need to ask your operator. And that's why when you're choosing an operator, you need to choose an experienced operator to deal with and work with that does these things and has been through these things and has screwed these things up before. And we've done that. I've made plenty of mistakes in CapEx projects, not estimating correctly, not looking at this and looking at that, and not knowing the cost. So this is a huge point when you're looking for an operator to invest with, or if you are an operator and you're trying to do right by your investors. These are things that you need to look at and make sure of. So I hope you got a ton of value out of this episode. If you have any other questions, please email me at derek@victorycapital.com. It's derek@victorycapital.com. I would love to have you like and subscribe and comment on the show. We put a lot of work into the show. We've been doing the show for a year, and I've been out of town traveling, doing some personal development stuff. So we're going to get back to doing our weekly episodes and interviews. We have some great guests coming up. So please like and subscribe down the show. Let me know if you like it. Let me know any constructive criticisms or anything you would like to see on the show or any improvements you'd like to make. I would love to hear that. Also, you can check me out on social media, my YouTube channel, Derek Vickers 885 on all social media platforms. If you're interested in learning more about what we do at Victory Capital, you can go to victorycapital.com. That's VICKTORY capital.com, or you can reach out to me. I'd love to set up a call and kind of explain to you how Victory Capital works and what we do. And I hope to see you. Thank you all for watching or listening, and I will see you all next week on the MHP Show podcast. Peace.